There are two kinds of people in this world, those who wait and those who create. The weak cling to excuses, blame, and bitterness. That's slave morality born from fear, from envy, from surrender. But the strong forge their own values. They don't beg for justice, they define it. They don't follow, they lead. Nietzsche knew, power isn't given, it's claimed. So ask yourself, are you reacting to life, or are you commanding it? Stop living like a servant to your pain. Rise like a master. Take the weight of your life in your own hands. This is your reckoning. Number 1. The two paths. Creator or complainer. There are only two paths you can walk in this life. The path of the creator or the path of the complainer. One builds. The other blames. One forges ahead in fire and vision. The other stands still, arms crossed, muttering about how unfair the world is. The creator understands that life is not fair, and doesn't need it to be. He doesn't waste energy waiting for perfect conditions. He acts. He doesn't ask for permission. He doesn't beg for sympathy. He creates his own meaning, his own rules, his own future. This is what Nietzsche meant when he spoke of the master, a person who defines value from within, who rises not because he was given the right conditions, but because he refused to surrender to them. The complainer, on the other hand, lives in reaction, always looking outward for someone to blame. The system, the past, their parents, their pain. They confuse weakness for virtue and envy for justice. Nietzsche called this slave morality, the morality of the resentful, the defeated, the bitter. Sounds noble, sounds righteous, but it's hollow, it's powerless, produces nothing but more suffering. You have to decide what you'll be. A life of complaints is easy. A life of creation is war. You will suffer. You will fail. You will be misunderstood. But the creator doesn't shrink in the face of adversity. He steps into it. He turns pain into fuel. He turns rejection into redirection. He turns every setback into a scene in a story he's writing with his own two hands. Every day you wake up, you make the choice again. Do you pick up the hammer or the megaphone? Do you build something, your body, your mind, your mission? Or do you shout into the void, hoping someone else will fix what you won't face? Number 2. Slave morality, the chains of excuse. Slave morality is not just weakness, it is self-imposed limitation. It is the mindset that praises powerlessness and calls it virtue. It is the voice that says, I can't. Not because of true barriers, but because it's easier to wear chains than to risk breaking them. This is the morality of excuses. Of I would, but, and it's not my fault. Of waiting for fairness in a world that was never built to be fair. The slave doesn't question the cage, he polishes it. He decorates it with reasons. He tells himself he is righteous because he suffers, noble because he obeys, good because he never dares. Nietzsche saw this clearly. Slave morality rises from resentment. It is the morality of those who cannot rise, so they drag others down. They call ambition arrogance. They label strength cruelty. They see confidence and whisper, who does he think he is? They envy the fire but lack the courage to stand in it. Excuses are the chains they choose to wear. And every excuse is a reinforcement of the lie, that the world is responsible for your lack of progress, that your pain is someone else's fault, that your failure is permanent, ordained, unavoidable. This is how the slave mindset survives, by shifting blame outward, never inward. But look closer. Slave morality isn't about justice. It's about safety. Safety from the truth. Safety from the weight of accountability. Because if you admit that it's in your hands, if you accept that your life is what you've allowed it to become, then you are forced to act. And action is terrifying to those who've grown addicted to comfort. Number 3. Master morality. Master morality begins where imitation ends. It's not concerned with pleasing the crowd, following the rules, or meeting expectations set by others. The master doesn't ask what is acceptable. He asks what is true. He doesn't copy strength, he becomes it. This is the mindset of those who lead, not follow, who create, not conform, who define, rather than accept definitions handed down to them. Nietzsche's master morality isn't about arrogance or domination. It's about self-determination. It's about authorship, about writing your own code and living by it no matter the resistance. The master doesn't measure himself by the standards of others. He doesn't seek validation from the herd. He is not moved by praise, and he is not broken by criticism. He moves from the inside out. His values are forged through trial, reflection, discipline, and fire. He decides what is right for his path and lives it relentlessly, unapologetically. That is the power to define. The world will try to tell you what you are. Too aggressive, too ambitious, too intense, too focused. Master morality is the strength to look that world in the eye and say, "You don't get to name me." It is the refusal to bow to the standards of the mediocre. The refusal to shrink so others feel comfortable. The refusal to dull your light so no one feels outshined. It doesn't mean living selfishly. It means living authentically. It means owning the responsibility to shape your life, your purpose, your identity. Weakness borrows opinions. Strength builds convictions. Slave morality reacts. Master morality creates. The master understands that pain is not punishment. It's potential. That suffering is not to be avoided, it's to be used. He doesn't just endure the fire, he is refined by it. Because through struggle he discovers who he is. And with that knowledge, he carves out meaning in a world that offers none freely. Number 4. Stop blaming. Start building. Blame is the drug of the powerless. It numbs, comforts. It gives you a villain to point to, a story to cling to, a reason to stay exactly where you are. But every second spent blaming is a second lost building. Every excuse you make becomes a brick in the wall between who you are and who you could be. Stop blaming. Start building. Blame hands your power to the past. It anchors you to a version of yourself that no longer serves your future. Keeps you circling the same problems, the same pain, like a prisoner too afraid to test the lock. And the truth? The lock isn't broken. It never was. You're just too committed to the story that says someone else holds the key. That story ends now. Start building. Build discipline. Build direction. Build something real from the ashes of everything that went wrong. You're not broken, you're unfinished. The pain, the betrayal, the failure, they don't define you unless you let them. They are raw material. You can use them or you can hide behind them. But you can't do both. Building means facing the reality that no one is coming to save you, and realizing that no one needs to. You have everything you need. A mind that can focus, a will that can rise, and a future that's still unwritten. The tools are already in your hands, but they only work if you use them. The ones who build don't wait for motivation. They move. They act. They shape the day instead of being shaped by it. They take responsibility not because it's easy, but because it's the only path forward. They stop pointing fingers and start pointing forward. They stop asking why it happened and start asking what they're going to do with it. Number 5. Leadership begins with self-mastery. You cannot lead a life you haven't mastered. You cannot guide others when you're still lost within yourself. Leadership begins not with orders or influence, but with ownership. With confronting your own chaos, your own flaws, your own fears, and forging discipline from within. Everyone wants to lead. Few want to bleed for it. Because self-mastery requires sacrifice. It requires you to look in the mirror and strip away every excuse, every lie, every comfort that keeps you soft. It demands that you become the example, not the critic. That you walk what you preach before you ever expect others to follow. You want to command respect? Command yourself. Your thoughts, your habits, your emotions, your impulses. The man who cannot control himself will always be controlled by someone else. By doubt, by desire, by distraction. But the one who masters himself becomes unshakable. He doesn't need to dominate others. His presence speaks for him. His discipline sets the tone. Self-mastery is not perfection, it's alignment. It's choosing values, goals, and standards, and living by them relentlessly, even when no one's watching. Especially then, because that's where real power lies. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, where your choices either build your future or betray it. Every great leader you admire started with the same war you're in right now. The war against laziness, fear, doubt, and distraction. They didn't win it once. They win it daily. Leadership isn't a title. It's a practice, a standard, a burden you carry so others can rise. You think you're ready to lead? Ask yourself, can you lead yourself when you're tired? When you're doubting everything? When your plans fall apart? When no one believes in you? Because that's what separates leaders from followers, the refusal to be led by emotion. The choice to rise even when everything says stay down. 6. The reckoning. Own your life. This is the reckoning. The moment when you stop running from your life and finally turn to face it. All of it. The wins, the wounds, the regrets, the truth. This is where the victim dies and the warrior is born. Because nothing changes until you own it. All of it. No more half-truths. No more pointing fingers. No more hiding behind what was done to you. The question isn't who hurt you. The question is, what are you going to do about it now? This world will give you every reason to stay average. Every distraction. Every justification. Every soft pillow to rest your dreams on while they die. But there comes a time when you get tired of the sound of your own excuses. Tired of waking up in a life that doesn't reflect the fire you know is inside you. That's the reckoning. This isn't about motivation. This is about declaration. You declare war on passivity. You declare war on comfort. You declare war on the version of you that waits for someone else to decide your worth. That version doesn't get to lead anymore. Every scar is now a source of strength. Every setback, a lesson. Every tear, a test you survived. And if you're still breathing, you're still dangerous. The reckoning doesn't care about your past. It only asks one thing. Will you take back what is yours? Will you rise? Not someday, not when it's easier, but now? Because everything you've been waiting for begins when you. Ownership is the dividing line. It separates those who build empires from those who bury themselves in excuses. It's not about guilt. It's not about blame. It's about control. You cannot change a life you refuse to claim. You cannot rise if your first move is to crawl back into the comfort of denial. Own your decisions. Own your actions. Own your failures. Own your potential. Because once you do that, once you say, this is mine, you take the wheel. And when you have the wheel, it doesn't matter how broken the road has been. You can still steer. You can still rise.